So this was like what the Democratic Party thought was going to be a banger. And it was, of course, in the most classic Democratic Party move, an absolute disaster because Joe Brandon did not perform. He could not prove to the world that he is alive. All right, let's take a look. Now, last night, this is not the customer support line, okay? Don't come to me with that shit. Okay, ask Warren James. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, okay? We're diving head first. We're diving head first into this shit. We're diving head first into this, into what happened last night. Absolute bedlam, absolute chaos. To co-sign your dementia thing, yeah, relax, it's June. If there's one thing that helps with dementia, it's more time. Yeah. So, there were so many moments from this debate, but it was an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster, an unmitigated disaster of epic proportions. The Democratic Party thought that the expectations are low for Joseph Robinette Brandon. The Democratic Party thought, oh, we'll just put him out there. We'll just put him out there and he'll go out and he'll perform and he won't die on stage. We'll give him the right kinds of drugs or whatever, and he'll be able to, he'll be able to perform, and everyone will look at that and juxtapose him as a candidate who is not dead. We promise you he's not dead, with Donald Trump, a candidate who is alive, but people wish he was dead. You know what I mean? Like, they'll see Trump being chaotic, they'll see Trump being insane, and they'll see Joseph Robinette Brandon be normal and certainly not dead. We promise you he is not dead. He's very much alive, right? That was the goal. That's why they did it so early. They did it so early to show America, because this is an unceremoniously early debate, okay? So this was like what the Democratic Party thought was going to be a banger. And it was, of course, in the most, classic Democratic Party move, an absolute disaster because Joe Brandon did not perform. He could not prove to the world that he is alive, okay? He could not prove to the world that he was live, nor was he alive, okay? He proved to the world that he was, as a matter of fact, not doing great, okay? So much so that Donald Trump did do classic Donald Trump shit throughout the entire 90 minutes of this debate, and absolutely zero people care about it. People are not even talking about it. People are barely even registering anything that Donald Trump said, even though he said the same things over and over again. He literally was like, I stubbed my toe. That's immigrants, undocumented migrants. They're changing the furniture in your homes and you're stubbing your toes. They're doing rapes. They're doing rapes all the time. They're doing Olympic level raping, okay? Which is extra ironic because Donald Trump is literally like a court-approved rapist. But like, having said all of that, people didn't even look at that. Like, people didn't even factor that into the conversation because of how unimaginably awful the Biden performance was, right? So let's take a look at what the media is saying, because in the immediate aftermath, there was a state of sheer panic. Not even in the immediate aftermath, as a matter of fact, 10 minutes into the debate, when Joe Biden first had that moment, everybody started going, oh my God, he's not going to do it. And he did have a slow start. He tried to recover later on. I don't know why. Normally, you're supposed to be more with it in the beginning of the debate. And then the second half, you get crazy. That's usually his performance. Judging his old performances, you look at him in the first half, he's like kind of fine. And then in the second half, his brain starts pooping, but people don't care about it. Biden dropped the ball 10 minutes in. And then immediately after that, you had people going, oh no, we are so, okay? Yeah, it was 9:11 p.m. Eastern when he broke down, literally 10 minutes into the debate. By far, the most frustrating thing about Biden's performance last night is that for the extremely politically plugged in folks like ourselves, if we use 100% of our brain power, we could sort of understand what he was trying to get at, but that's not how it's supposed to work. Exactly. Like, and even on that front, there are many problems, right? Like, if Biden came out there and just like demonstrated that he's competent, most of mainstream media would say, see, he's very much alive. F you guys are faking it. You guys are doing AI clips of Biden, making it seem like he's not with it. But I would still be very critical because there were a lot of moments on the policy front where he absolutely missed key details that he could point to about the accomplishments of his administration, about what it will look like if you reelect him, how he will expand on certain things that he's done, whether it be the IRA. Like, there were so many opportunities that he missed. There was a major flub early on with the abortion conversation. That was a layup. He took the layup and launched it into space. No, actually, I take it back. He took the wide open layup that was given to him in the abortion conversation and scored an own goal. He took it back to the other side. He took it back down to the court and dunked it on himself. We're going to cover all of that in a second, though. Let's start.
What the first ever debate between a president and a former president turned out to be. From the start, Joe Biden struggled to answer questions, reinforcing questions about his age. Trump launched a series of lies and misleading attacks, but he faced scant fact-checking, and he did it in a forceful manner. By the time the 90 minutes were up, the drumbeat about Biden's age from Democrats had key figures from across the party talking about...
Yeah, it's like now they're trying to do pickup. They're trying to do like a little bit of spin after everybody saw what everybody saw to be like, oh, Trump lied a lot. It's like, yes, dude, we know he was the president. Like, what are we talking about? We know he lies. We know he lies all the time, dude. What do you mean? Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe he lied. Like Joe Biden personally was like, oh, you can't debate a liar. It's like, yes, dude, you can. And if you can't, then you don't do it. Right? You debated this guy and you won before. What are we talking about? You are literally the most experienced person in terms of directly dealing with Donald Trump because you debated him and you won that election. So it's not like a new thing. Trump didn't come in with some new shit, right? It's not like Trump's narrative hasn't even changed since like 2015, 2016. His narrative is still the same. He's saying the same shit. He just elevated it. Now he's adding new stuff onto the... Now he's expanding on the old talking points. Like now he's saying black jobs. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll find out. But hey, you know what would have been great? If Joe Brandon was equipped mentally to turn around and be like, what do you mean by black jobs? Can you tell me what you mean by black jobs? Like, what are we talking about? That sounds kind of weird. You know, what's that about? And it is very frustrating that he is not equipped to be able to do that because he's not even equipped to walk on that stage, brother. I'm sorry. And it's like such a laughably obvious thing that anyone who has eyes can see. And yet manufactured consent is so powerful that like the media apparatus, at least seemingly, made the rest of the people in the media, like in the New York Times op-ed piece writers, and also the entirety of the Democratic donor base, perfectly blind to this massive inadequacy of Joe Biden. And I only say this because I'm taking them at their word. I'm taking the Democratic Party's chirpers now at their word when they go, oh my God, this is shockingly bad. How could this have happened? Okay, I'm taking you at your word. If you're genuinely shocked right now, you're stupid. You have not paid attention at all, dude. You were on maximum amounts of copium leading up to this debate. Think about that. Think about how crazy it is. It's like, dude, this is the #1 meta. In 2022, CNN released a poll saying 75% of Americans think Biden is too old to be president. 75%, 2022. It's not like this shit was a secret. Brandon wasn't like a dynamo on paper or in public regularly. It was just like a shit ton of people running on copium. And it's crazy. It's like you should be embarrassed to be like, oh, who could have foreseen this? You should be laughed out of every room. To me, testing Biden's dementia, okay, and claiming that like you were shocked by it is akin to the same hallucinations that Republicans engage in when they say Trump is sexy, okay? Like no, he's not. We can see with our eyes, like he's not hot at all. He looks like a creature. Like, what do you mean? It's like those Republican moms that go to the rallies that are like, that's right, Trump can grab my pussy. It's like, oh my God, Deborah, you are too horny, okay? What the fuck's going on? Shut up. That motherfucker is melting on stage, you know? Like you're on a level of hallucination, hopped up on pure love for this person that you've deified, Donald Trump, that you think he's like sexy. To me, it is akin to the Democratic inability, the Democratic base of support's inability, the donors' inability to see how fucked up Brandon's brain is. Okay?
About replacing Biden on the ticket. Rachel Scott starts us off from Atlanta. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. This was the biggest political stage yet of the 2024 campaign. And Democrats were really looking to President Biden to put to rest those questions and concerns about his age. But this morning, his performance is only fueling more and sending his party scrambling.
This morning, panic and concern within the Democratic Party after this debate performance from President Biden.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
From the start of the debate, the president speaking with a raspy voice, at times stumbling and trailing off, unable to finish his thought, even on the issues at the heart of his campaign, like abortion rights.
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the
Bro, this is literally Sun Tzu, okay? Don't interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake shit right here. Like, the first 25 minutes was a clinic for Trump. He shut the fuck up. He didn't go crazy. He had a couple jabs in there, but just like very sneaky. And he didn't do the second half shit that he was doing. He just waited and just looked over and was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, which was the best thing he could have done, okay? And then, of course, he unfolded and went nutty mode in the second half. But by that point, it's over because everyone is like, what the fuck is this cadaver doing on the stage? The dynamic changed dramatically. Well, not dramatically, but the dynamic certainly changed. But that's all Trump had to do, was just sit back and be like, look at this. Look at this. You want this again? And yeah, that's where we're at. We beat Medicare. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Holy moly. I mean, his flub on abortion is so bad. His flub on abortion was so bad. And the people crying to the referees about the moderation not being there because they weren't fact checking Trump are also, in my honest assessment, crying because they wanted the hand holding that Brandon needed. Okay. That's why they're crying.
The woman in the state.
The Biden campaign telling reporters the president, who is 81 years old, had a cold, something they did not mention until an hour into the debate. Trump questioning Biden's mental fitness.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
It was the first time the two candidates have come face to face in 4 years.
He's, without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
So also CNN fucked up by trying to make this shit more civil. If they weren't muting and cutting them off, we wouldn't have noticed how bad they both are. No, honestly, they tried to save Biden multiple times by being like, you're out of time. You realize that, right? There was a couple exit ramps that they gave to Biden with the mute where they were like, you're out of time, President, Mr. President. And he would go, oh, they tried to save his ass. So ultimately, did you see his rally today? He was more animated. Yes, brother, it doesn't matter. Okay. 50 million people watched this debate. You can't overcome that by being like, but he's fine here. Anyone that has old relatives knows exactly what's going on. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because so many people just don't recognize it. Yes, dude, this shit comes and goes. Okay. It comes and goes. Sometimes he doesn't have that pep in his step. Other times he does. If you have a grandparent that has early stage Alzheimer's or dementia, okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have a conversation with them and they're just on the ball. They will recall things with incredible accuracy. And you're like, what the fuck? Is this the same guy? What's happening? And then other times, not so much. Okay. That's exactly what is happening here. Ultimately, though, the sundowning moments overcome the lucid moments. That's it. That's how it works. Sometimes you're there, other times you're not. Like when I watched Joe Biden last night, okay? When I watched Joe Biden last night, I felt like I was watching him just like holding on for dear life. Do you know what I mean? I felt like he was just sitting there inside of his mind, trapped in his own brain prison, going, please just say the words right. Please just say the words right. While every other part of his body was just failing. Okay. And that is not a good look. That is not a convincing re-election. That is not a convincing re-election candidate. That's not a convincing incumbent that is going to have a major advantage. Okay. It just feels like he's like desperately trying to just say the right things while simultaneously failing to do so. And then that recognition kicks in and then it snowballs into like more and more flubs. And you have to recognize something. And I said this before the debate. I said this before the debate started. Everybody brought up the State of the Union and said, well, you know, everybody thought State of the Union, he was going to fuck up, and he was actually fine. He wasn't fine on the State of the Union. There were moments in the State of the Union where he went off script, where he was having a contentious conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's where he had that famous illegals moment where he was like, them illegals, which means he is not equipped to be in a contested conversation. Okay. He's just not, like, when he's on script, when he's doing crowd work, right? When it's just like people who adore him or whatever in a rally, that's fine. He's still with it. He can, especially if it's like a good moment, especially early in the day, right? On the State of the Union, he did a decent job, except for moments where he didn't, right? And that is what matters, because this conversation, I mean, this back and forth, like him using all of his brain power, trying to, get the talking points out while also simultaneously standing next to Donald Trump. Like, it was a terrible, terrible performance. And I'm not alone on this. Okay. I never thought I would say this, but the damn near entirety of the New York Times op-ed team is in agreement with me, which is crazy. Once again, being a leftist means you're right, just too early, right? I've been saying this for 2 years at this point. I've been saying this is the midterms. People were like, oh, midterms are good. Midterms were great for the Democratic Party. It's because of Biden. It was like, no, that's not because of Biden. It's because the Republicans were throwing, okay, Roe v. Wade, and also how gross and stinky the normal Republican has become, the normal Republican candidate has become, was genuinely off-putting for people that would go out and vote in the midterms, for the Republican midterms. Yeah, Claire McCaskill agrees with me. I hate that potato woman, okay? I despise her. I think that if she just never had airtime ever again for the rest of my life, that would be great, okay? Major dub for me. I despise her. I think she is basically all of the worst instincts of the Democratic Party combined. She's a loser. And of course, classically, as a loser, she has a perma-hosting spot on MSNBC. Massively right-wing Democrat. And yet, she basically was almost completely in agreement with myself, okay? It's really bad. It's really, 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 really bad. And yet, the expectation from everyone after this awful performance, which I will get into in a second, was that he would drop out potentially, or they would go back and they would, try to come up with a graceful exit for Biden. The Democratic donors were in a state of panic. And yet, there's only two people that maybe could make a difference here, is Jill Biden and Barack Obama. And it turns out Barack Obama came out and said, no, I'm still riding with Biden. So they are locked in, it seems. His campaign came out earlier this morning and said, of course we're not dropping out. What are you talking about? Just something to consider.
Almost immediately, the attacks turning personal.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
When he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
That clearly didn't sit well with Biden, delivering his most direct attack yet on some of the allegations surrounding Trump.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
And Biden going after Trump for his actions on January 6th and his promise to pardon the rioters who stormed the Capitol.
He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out, and now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that...
Bro, this was the method, okay? This was the method. Like, he needed to goad him from the jump. He needed to go at him from the jump. He needed to come in there and be like, why am I having a conversation with a convicted felon right now? What is the state of American democracy? This motherfucker is crazy. And then you just let him unwind. And yet he only baited him in the second half. And he also personally couldn't even hold it together in the first half where it mattered. Massive alley-oops were lost. Just so bad, dude. It just doesn't make any sense. Because the goal here is to show that Trump is incompetent, Trump is dangerous, Trump is chaotic, and Trump is like a racist madman who wants to be a dictator, right? And while all of those things might be true, okay, and I certainly believe those things to be true, by the way, okay, make no mistake. If you fail to demonstrate those things when it matters, then you are not capable of being the guy, the only guy who can beat Trump. Because remember, that's how we rolled out Biden. This is the only guy who can beat Trump at a time when there were plenty of people who could beat Trump, right? And now he's lost it completely. Oh.
They're so innocent. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
But when pressed on his actions, Trump deflected. And he would not say whether he would accept the results of the November election.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous.
Trump pushed several false claims, from insisting there was no terror during his administration to claiming that...
Yes, every minute that Biden threw a barb at Trump and made Trump scramble to defend himself, for like a whole minute, he was winning. Exactly. And he should have stayed with that energy from the start. He should have immediately hit him on the felony stuff to like unwind him. That was the number one thing. That was the number one thing that pissed him off right off the jump. They talked about generals for like literally half the debate. It's so stupid. But like for the purposes of like ostensibly showing, because like the Democratic Party's goal there is to show the world how incompetent and how dangerous Trump is. Their goal also is to simultaneously prove that Brandon isn't a cadaver that is rotting in front of our eyes, right? They failed on both counts. They failed on both counts. And they failed so spectacularly that became the thing to talk about. And then that also created a separate news cycle about the Democratic panic happening. Okay? Massive, massive L. Unimaginable L's.
Every legal scholar in the world supported overturning Roe versus Wade.
CNN did a terrible job calling out Trump's lies. CNN is a right-wing institution. CNN has openly stated their desires in pivoting to the right. I'm sorry, this was a mutually agreed on, negotiated process. So much so that they didn't even use the Presidential Election Committee in order to host this debate. You cannot cry to the refs after the fact. You put those refs there, okay? You know Trump lies. You know he's a serial liar. You are running the argument after the fact and going, why didn't they call out the lies? It's like, when have they, bro? They have never done that. You know what he does. You're supposed to be there and go, the fuck do you mean? That's it. I thought you said CNN hates Trump. I don't know. No, CNN loves the ratings that they get from Trump. CNN also is looking at the ratings that are abysmal across the board for all media because nobody gives a shit about politics. And remembering how good things were all the way up to 2020 when they would do round-the-clock anti-Trump coverage. They want Trump to win so they can do that again. Anyway, that's besides the point, though. That like it's so ridiculous. Like the notion of, oh, like CNN didn't do a good job fact-checking. Like, where was this energy during the debate? It's like, come on, dude. Come on. Then don't have the debate, okay? Then don't do it. Where is Biden? Where is Biden to address a single part of the, lies that Trump is serially repeating? Is Biden actually capable of doing such things? I don't think so. And I think that's precisely why people were like, why won't CNN hold his hand the entire process? That's it.
Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
At one point, the two oldest candidates in history bickering over...
Like, that's the funniest lie across the board. It's like one of the most consequential ones. The notion that like every single legal scholar and every single Democrat wanted Roe v. Wade overturned is basically akin to going up on that stage and being like, the earth is flat. Okay. And I believe it. And you do too. Everyone believes the world is flat. And the easiest retort to that is, what are you talking about? Name a single legal scholar, and not Mark Levin. Name a single legal scholar, not a Fox News commentator. Okay. You are so insane. If that was the case, then your Supreme Court appointees would not have lied in their appointment hearings about how Roe v. Wade is a super precedent. Okay? They lied. Your people literally lied. You can't say that? You can't even bring that up? California attorney who was on Law Review here. Many legal scholars thought Roe v. Wade was the shit. Yeah, it's just it's so unimaginably stupid that he's like, no, you don't understand. The most consequential chickens come home to roost project that was going on for 35 years in the Republican Party through the Federalist Society is actually super awesome. It's super awesome. Everybody loves it. Everybody's thanking me all day about abortion being left up to the states.
For their golf game.
I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
How is it?
Yeah, that's also so dumb. It made both of them look like goddamn dinguses. You're supposed to jab at him, not get down to his level to that degree, man. What are you talking about? Absolutely nobody gives a I guess voters care. I guess voters care about the golf shit, right? Like, I assume, like, the people who actually go out and vote overwhelmingly care about the golf stuff, right? Like, this is the last audience that will look at the golf shit and go like, yeah, no, that was actually a great conversation or whatever. Because Piers Morgan literally spent time on it, on our conversation that we had. Like, he was like, I don't believe he's actually a 6 handicap. I would give him $100,000. Like, it's like, dude, I don't care. I literally don't care. He's pooping in his diapers, okay? He can't even walk normal. I don't give a shit about golf at all. And yes, I don't think that Biden has a 6 handicap. But who gives a fuck? Like, who actually gives a fuck about that? No one. No one gives a fuck about that. Please shut the fuck up about golf. Holy shit. People care more about the top of the hour ad break than the golf conversation, because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and the chatters in here who are not subscribed are going to see a 3-minute ad break. But if you want to avoid seeing those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, like I said, for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. I'm 15 minutes late. I know. Okay. I was on a tear here. ACAP for Cutie. Thank you for the 10 community gift subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Twitch Prime is free, folks. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Yeah. I think people don't care about the golf thing, and it just showed how out of touch in country club their old asses are. I think so. But like, maybe white dudes in the suburbs who both of these guys are desperately trying to win over, they might care. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Because the calculation isn't about like the broadest parts of the electorate. It's like these guys are completely lasered on like one group of people, which is white men and white women in the suburbs. Okay. In key states, in swing states, and in swing districts. That is who they're going after. They want the Westchester voters to, make a decision on the matter. They don't give a fuck about what's going on in the Bronx. So maybe it's it's still a flub for Biden, because absolutely no one believes he has a 6 handicap. But like, maybe people don't care about maybe people do care about the golf thing. I don't know. I don't. I think it's so stupid. It made me so upset.
8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
Rory Mage, thank you for the 5
I've
gifted.
seen you swing. I know you swing.
Hey,
Let's not act like children.
And while Biden tried to address his age head on,
This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around there.
the most consequential night of the campaign ended with only more questions. Even his own vice president.
The suburbs surround the cities, my lord. Yeah.
President acknowledging he had a rough go.
Listen, he did not get off to a strong start in that debate, but he had a strong finish.
Donald Trump did make several false and misleading claims, many of which went unchecked or challenged on that debate stage, even by President Biden. This morning, many Democrats calling that a missed opportunity. The president did make a late night stop at a Waffle House. He was asked directly about his debate performance. He said he had no concerns, but that is not what we are hearing from Democrats this morning.
Yeah, of course he has no concerns. He doesn't know where the fuck he is, bro. I don't know. Immigrants are raping. We need abortions. What? What'd you say? I'm getting waffles. Getting waffles, Jack. Look alive. I love that he went to Waffle House after. That's so perfectly American. Dude, that is literally... I feel like that is something I would do to eat my feelings away after like a phenomenally bad, exceptionally bad performance. You know what I mean? Like, that's some shit I would do. Just to be like, yeah, I sucked dog shit here, and now I'm going to eat my feelings. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, it puts me in a coma. Anyway, so if you lost to Lud, yeah, to be totally honest, your Biden isn't very good, but it cracks me up every time, so I don't really care. Yeah, it's hard to do a Biden. So yeah, the first flub of the day was here. I'm gonna go through my tweets that like are somewhat of an accurate immediate recap of the timeline of the debate real quick. Hold up, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can just scroll down far enough. Let's take a look here. So yeah, Biden comes out swinging. He's trying to cram as many words. He's trying to hit the max word count. Okay. But his voice is absolute dog shit. He sounds like he sounded like RFK Jr. up in this bitch. Okay, voice is off. He's doing like this whisper thing. 1 HP voice. Okay, but he also sounds kind of cracked out. So it's like an L on both counts. Okay, he's trying to like say as many things as possible, but he's not doing a good job saying it. Then, 10 minutes in to the convo, he cuts himself off. Like on the 11th minute mark of the debate, once they started talking, once the timer was in, he cut himself off mid-convo. That was really bad. Like that was the holy shit we're fucked moment for many Democrats, I think, because once again, this was supposed to be Brandon showing the world that he's not dead. Yeah, he said, and by the way, and then he stopped. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Do we have that clip? Anyway, and then, wasn't he muted there? No, dude. No, he said, by the way, and then they ended the conversation. Okay. He just stopped talking. You saw it. Chatters are going maximum copium mode. You're going to need Narcan pronto if you cope this hard. Okay. If the copium levels are through the roof right now, for many of you, you're going to need Narcan eventually. You're overdosing. Okay. It would have been fire if he died then. Let's be real. Yeah. I mean, it'd be crazy. Yeah. You need Narcope. Congrats on 100K viewers last night. Yeah, we're back, baby. We're back. People care about politics again for like a little bit. Make no mistake. They're not going to care. They're not going to care about it consistently. Here.
I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way.
So every day.
Yeah, they didn't mute his mic. He said, by the way, there you go. Okay. You can hear CNN say thank you. I know. I understand that. I know his time was up. Look.
And by the way.
So every day.
What are we doing here? I feel like this is the best proof that Americans need health care. Oh. Anyway. Thank you, Mr. President. Moving on. Okay. And that was a save for him, for the record. Okay. That was a save for him. Okay. That was a save for him. This is another one of those instances where like the CNN crew was trying to save him. Anyway, that's the one. That's one of the moments. That is the first moment. Okay. The abortion one was really, really bad.
Excuse me, with dealing with.
Oh, and then he had
history.
this.
There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
Child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
Oh no.
No, not the side eye.
Oh no.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
He said, look. Oh, they cut him off.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho.
Here's a layup,
despite that
right?
state's
Here's a
restrictive
layup.
ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Come on, good. Bring it back. This is a good one. This is a good one for the Democrats. Come on, Joe. Don't f this up, Joe.
Stop the fact.
To abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
The vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous.
So I'm gonna cut him off here and explain what he's trying to say. Okay, he's trying to say trying to turn back Roe v. Wade, overturn Roe v. Wade, and bring the decision back to the states is basically like the same argument that, you know, slavers made during the Civil War, right? He's trying to say that. He's trying to be like, oh, this is like, there's no states' rights on this issue. Like, you're ridiculous. It's settled law, right?
And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help.
He said him as a doctor. He's not woke.
Do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have.
Yeah, see, it's like looking at settled law, like civil rights, and saying we're going to return it back to the state. Which, by the way, we did do that. The Supreme Court did do that technically, not for the civil rights, but not for civil rights across the board, but for voting rights, they did do that. So, you know, that is kind of a pivotal part of the Democratic Party's platform on voting rights, restoring voting rights. Anyway. Oh no, what is this? Meth. This is such a dumb emo. Look alive!
A different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in.
You're talking about abortion, man.
Here's the deal. What? There's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws,
short-circuiting
by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
So the argument he's trying to make is that Republicans try to claim here. The argument he's trying to make here, which is so stupid. Like, let me explain something to you. I cannot begin to make an analogy on how dumb this was. He took the only issue that he is leading on by like 20 points, abortion, and recentered the conversation on an issue where he's losing by 20 points, if not more. Okay? What he was trying to say there was, oh, Republicans love to care about Americans getting killed by immigrants. And you put out the woman, you talk about the girl that was killed by an undocumented immigrant as though you care for women, okay? Meanwhile, there are women all around the country that are dying as a consequence of not being able to get this medical procedure due to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So you don't care about women. That's the point that he was trying to make. It was the worst point that he could have made, okay? Because why in the ever-loving fuck would you try to recenter the conversation on abortion to immigration? He was trying to say, y'all don't give a fuck about women. You only talk about women when they're being murdered by an undocumented immigrant to make an anti-immigrant argument. Because if you cared about women, think about all the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of women, if not millions of women that have had their access to medical care shut off as a consequence of this decision. Those women get raped by their family members sometimes, and they can't go out and get this medical procedure due to your restrictions. That's what he's trying to say, which is really bad anyway. Why would you bring that up? That's the dumbest way to make this argument. You do not have to say undocumented migrants doing murder and bring up, what's her name, Lainey Riley or whatever. Like, even if he was 100% coherent in that situation and thought that he was cooking there, that's still a bad point. Do you guys understand what I mean by this? Like, him being old and him not being able to complete that talking point in a way that, like, people can understand. Lincoln Riley. Even in that circumstance, even if he actually was yapping, like a grade A yapper, okay? And he perfectly delivered that line, it's still bad. It is still it's an own goal. It's a self goal. It's so stupid. Like, if he phrased it like you did, that would not have bombed. It doesn't matter though. It still would have been an idiotic way to address the situation, because at that point, you're in your wheelhouse. You're in the pocket. You don't have to remind people about how much immigrants are doing crime, which is already built on top of a faulty premise anyway.
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people.
And then he immediately gets he immediately pops off. He's like, thank you. Thank you for giving me this incredible moment where we can eliminate the conversation on abortion and start talking about my favorite issue, immigrants doing crime. Of course he's going to run with it. He literally had a wide open layup, got blocked by the rim, took the rebound, drove it back to his own basket, and yammed it in his own basket, and then handed the ball to Donald Trump to yam it again.
He allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
Bro!
Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
He said immigrant
And he opened
rapists,
it up, and these killers are
victims
coming
need
into our country.
abortions. Dem source, we are doomed. Yeah, it's so cooked. So it's just like, it's true. I mean, the Democratic Party is cooked. So cooked. Reading the transcript shows how bad this answer is. Yeah, I don't even want to go through it again. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who was just murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, and they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers, and sisters. Like, what do you mean sisters? It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And then they tried to arrest them when they crossed state lines. That is not somebody flubbing a good point, okay? That is brain rot. That is his brain leaking out of his ears, dude. Yeah. Nothing explains why, when handed a perfect abortion question on a silk pillow, Biden started talking about how about a woman raped and killed by an illegal immigrant. That's not over preparing. That's something else. Thank you, David Weigel. Okay? Dave Weigel is absolutely right. They're trying to say that, oh, Biden was over prepared for the combo. He prepared too hard. Okay? His bitch too bad. His smoke too loud. Okay? They'll kill him. Anyway, so that was like, I cannot explain to you the severity of that flub. Okay? I can't, there's no amount of overstating this. Okay? It is so unimaginably bad. So bad. And there's no salvaging that. Because even if he was coherent in that moment and delivered that line, it still would have been so stupid because of what Donald Trump did immediately after. Because this is a back and forth conversation. When you change the dynamic of the conversation voluntarily to abortion, from abortion, which is an issue that you're strong on, to immigration, which is an issue that Donald Trump loves talking about. He did not shut the fuck up about immigrants the entire night. Oh, it's Jover. Just a horribly bad moment. Okay? And then there was a litany of other idiotic moments from the debate, obviously. And we'll get through them as well. Here, let's take a look at this.
The 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
Folks, how are you? Great to be here. Thank you.
And please welcome the 45th president of the United States, Donald.
Also, they did not prep him on where the camera was. They did not tell him. These are important things, okay? This is a very important part of debate prep. Like, when you are preparing for a televised debate as the president, okay? Like, you have to look a certain way at all times because your reactions in real time are going to be captured and 50 million people are going to see it. I'll give you an example. There was a really funny moment where Joe Biden, there was a really funny moment where Joe Biden was talking about Melania being impregnated by Donald Trump, okay? And here's how he responded with his face. Trump being like, damn, yeah, Melania was pregnant. Here, this is a really, really funny moment, but here.
For doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what do you...
He was like, yeah. Look at his face. He's like, no, didn't have sex with a porn star. Yeah, the shit out of her.
The night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what would?
Yo, she was pregnant as shit. Hey, yo, I did that shit, dude. I laid that seed in her, big dog. I impregnated the fuck out of her.
What are you talking about?
Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna come. But anyway, listen. The reason why I showed you this is because like every moment is going to be overlooked, looked at again and again and again, and relitigated with a fine-tooth comb. And Brandon, for like the damn near overwhelming majority of the debate, was literally dozing off. Like he looked crazy. He looked old as. And that's honestly something you can't really save in this situation. Like he can't change his face. He's got old man face. It's just time. It's father time, right? Like there's really not anything you can do in that situation. But he's constantly like, what the dude? Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Okay, look at the camera. Stop looking at like random shit. You look crazy. You look old. Holy shit. It's so funny in retrospect. They try to think about the buzz they created nonstop around this debate. He's been prepping at Camp David nonstop. Yeah, I know. Anyway, they of course Dick rode Israel into oblivion, which is expected.
Donald Trump. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consider.
Situation.
Okay, well, we're gonna skip this. This is like piece by piece, right? Piece by piece, piece by piece. They go. I think these are just like the CNN clips from the debate, right? But what is more interesting? Trump calling Biden a weak Palestinian. Yeah, that was an insane moment too. People at assisted living facilities feel bad for him. It pains me how Biden's devastating debate went over an assisted living facility. The reaction was grim. Oh no, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God. Politico is just coming out with absolute heaters, dude. That's when you know shit is absolutely fucked up. Oh, it's so fucked up. Anyway, we'll do Morning Joe. We'll do like the reactions, but like in the immediate aftermath of the debate, and there's a couple other like high notes that I want to get to, but like you could see when Biden woke the fuck up in the second half, which was surprising because I thought it was going to be worse. The shit that he cares about were so stupid. The shit that he actually like popped off on were so incredibly insignificant. Like, oh, presidential scholars hate you. It's like, bro, nobody gives a fuck about presidential scholars. I am a politics nerd. I do this shit for a living. I cover this shit literally 10 hours a day, 365 days of the goddamn year. And I have never heard or have ever even remotely cared about presidential scholars saying like, oh yeah, Donald Trump sucks. Like, that's insane. That's insane, brother. That is so crazy. Like, that is... Like, what are you saying? And he was so invested in that meta. He was so invested in the 4-star general said you called the veterans gay and weak. and that. Those were where he, like, popped off. I feel like he was trying to provoke a reaction. I know, but it's like... But, like, do it on stuff that people care about. Okay? Do it on stuff that people care about. Because that's not a good way to bring that up. January 6th is a decent way to try and bring that up. Okay? To be like, you're a loser and you're a sore loser, which is the worst kind of loser. And you're willing to throw American democracy aside, specifically for your narcissistic desires. Like, anyway. Harry Sisson was low-key funny in the Pierce show. Yeah, I love that he attended that. I wish I could talk to him more on there too. He said Hasan is a big fan of mine. No, so I suspect he's seen my criticisms of him, but he popped off on the Patrick Bet David guy. Anyway.